Afternoon. I want to start by asking everybody to pray for the 14-year-old victim in this case. I think that's 14 years old, and this girl has been victimized horrifically. So we ask to pray for her and her recovery, and that she can have a normal life, if we could say something like that. But just pray for her, pray for her well-being. I want to thank our analysts, our deputies, detectives, Detective Damien is here, who was lead on the case. Another phenomenal job. And I say, people think this is TV shows where you just get the information within an hour. I mean, it takes time, it takes a long time. So I want to thank them very much because a lot goes into it, not just the sacrifices they make, but what their families make. So I want to thank them very much. And as we talk about, this may prevent other crimes from occurring. At the same time, what we're also doing is asking if there's other victims out there. I also want to thank HCA Trinity. A lot of credit doesn't go out to the nurses, the doctors in those emergency rooms, and they deserve a lot of credit because they see things that stand out. They see things that they shouldn't have to see, and nobody in society should have to see. But instead of just going on their business, they notify law enforcement saying something's wrong here. So I want to thank them very much for notifying law enforcement. And for all the nurses, doctors, and people that work in those ERs, thank you very much. This young 14-year-old girl, I can tell you, she would not have been a victim had this person who entered this country illegally been stopped at the border. It's a tragedy that because the border was porous, because the border at the time, people can freely fly in here in this country, we had a victim. And so this is the second time this year that we arrested somebody who was here, who entered illegally into our country, that raped a juvenile. And it's very sad that any community in this country has to do with it. But in Pasco County, it's the second time that we made an arrest on somebody who should not have been in this country, who victimized one of our children. This case started actually on August 20th. So this young 14-year-old girl, she was standing at a Pasco County bus stop, and she engages in a conversation with an adult. And so the adult is talking to her. They just start this conversation, and he throws money and says, "Hey, you want to get in this car?" And so she gets in the car with him. The suspect is Eduardo Villarreal. He was born in '72. So this is an older male. It's not somebody who's like 21, 22. This is an adult male. This guy is older. They know there's a big age difference. The suspect offered her money for sex. She makes a decision. She gets in the car with him. Over the next 2 weeks, the suspect and the victim go to different locations in Pasco County and Pinellas County. They frequent motels, they go to strip joints, they go to liquor stores, which I'll talk about in a little bit. At one point, she does tell him, "I am 14 years old." So this adult male knows he's having sex with a 14-year-old girl, and he continues to do this. He continues to pay her, he continues to buy her alcohol. At one point during these 2 weeks, he also forces sex on her. He holds her down, he holds his hands over her mouth to keep her quiet, and he forcibly rapes this young girl. This is the part where, we always tell people out there, pray for these victims, because they've been through tragedy. Talk about post-traumatic stress. This young girl's gonna deal with this for such a long time. Finally, she was able to be saved on Tuesday, September 2nd. Tuesday night, she discloses to an adult that she's intoxicated and she's been raped by this adult. Thankfully, HCA Hospital cooperated with us. I'll tell you, her blood alcohol level was 3 times higher than what a legal limit for an adult was. 3 times higher. She's 14 years old, and she's 3 times higher what would be legal for an adult. I can't imagine the amount of alcohol that she was received from this suspect in this case. So at that point, we began the investigation. Eduardo so far has been charged with 1 count of sexual bat, 1 count human trafficking because he's paying a juvenile for sex. He has 2 counts of lewd lascivious, and there's further charges that are coming. The one thing about Eduardo is that he confessed to our detectives is that he's scared about going back to Venezuela because he says the cartels are after him. So everybody, here's a clear message. Eduardo Villarreal will be in a Florida prison for life. So just putting it out there, if those cartels are really mad at him, that's where Eduardo will be for the rest of his life when he gets charged and convicted. Homeland Security also put a detainer on him. Eduardo, just a little bit of history. He entered the country illegally in 2023. He was stopped by CBP. but was released. He then established residency in Colorado, where he received a driver's license. He was actually stopped in Colorado several times, and the last time being May of this past year, he was stopped in Colorado on a traffic stop. The other thing about Eduardo is that he is a delivery guy. So that raises a lot of concerns and scares us, is the fact that this is a delivery driver in our community. So two things on this. First is we are notifying Homeland Security. Whoever hired this individual to be a delivery driver without status of being in the United States, they're gonna have to deal with that, and Homeland Security their information will be handed over to Homeland Security. The second thing is we wanna make sure if there's any victims out there, we will post the information about Eduardo. You're gonna see it on the news. We want you to notify law enforcement. We do not believe this is the first time he's committed these heinous crimes, and so we just want the information out there to make sure if there's any other victims, it's brought to justice, and that you actually receive the help you truly deserve. The other part is, talk about the hotels, motels, and liquor stores and strip joints. So they went to these locations. They hung out. That saying, see something, say something. I know it all started because of Homeland Security after 9/11, it was about terrorism, but it's about crime. If you see an adult male who's much older than a young girl, a 14-year-old girl, I get it. You may think to yourself, oh, is it father-daughter? But if father and daughter start kissing in front of you, or the adult male and the young child are kissing in front of you in a liquor store, or a motel, or at the strip joint, somebody needs to call law enforcement. Somebody at those points needs to say, hey, there's something wrong here. Call law enforcement. Because maybe this could have been stopped from the very beginning had somebody done something about it. But because there was the injustice where people stayed silent, a 14-year-old girl was victimized over and over and over again. So right now, as I said, the investigation is still ongoing. We are getting the 14-year-old the treatment that she needs and deserves. We're looking further in this investigation. If anybody has any information, please let us know. But there is a clear message out there, is that in the state of Florida, we will enforce the laws. In the state of Florida, if you commit a crime, we will be held accountable. And if you're a victim, we're gonna open our arms out to you. We're gonna give you a hug. We're going to protect you. There's a lot of young girls out there. And I wish I was a social media star. I wish I was like cool that they would actually listen to me. But I'm not. I'm a dad, I'm a law enforcement officer, and so I don't really get that cool status that you would get on TikTok or other social media sites. But I want to convey this message to you. Being a young girl, you're special. You are loved. You do not need the attention of an adult male or anybody. If you're missing that void in your life, I'm telling you right now, God loves you. There is a Lord, Jesus Christ, that loves you. Please, don't put yourself in these positions where you feel like, I'm going in his car with this guy, I don't know who he is, and I'm going to sell my body. I'm going to have sex because they're going to give me money. Money's worthless. Everything on this earth is worthless, but you're priceless. You are worth way more than any money, any jewelry, any material things on this earth. So if there's that one message, if there's anybody out there with social media that's really good, that you have a big following, please do me a favor and get that out there. Because there's a lot of young girls that are harming themselves, putting themselves in dangerous situations. As I was arriving here today, a call went on the radio that a young 15-year-old girl was in one of the ERs who had just gashed her arm, self-mutilating herself. The tragedy that we have as a society where people don't feel their self-worth. Whatever we can do to give it to them, we have to. Because that will prevent people from being victimized in the future. And it'll prevent people from harming themselves in the future. So is there anything I can answer or talk about? There's still an ongoing investigation, so myself or Detective Davian, there are things we can say and what things we can't say.
Well, of course you touched on it, but your message to people who are out there that are looking to do these types of things to young children, what's your stern message to them?
So I will say, in today's day and age, there's no secrecy. There's no privacy in the fact that they think that they can get away with these things. Eventually, you're going to get caught. Eventually, you're either going to face the death penalty or you're going to face life in prison, depending on how heinous your crime is. So the message out there is, you may get away with it, I think you're getting away with it, but you're not. Eventually, at some point, you will be caught. And at that point where you're caught, I get it. You're gonna cry and say, I wish I never did this, I didn't mean this to happen. Well, that's too late. So make your decisions now. The other one too is, say you do get away with it. That's on this earth. I always say this. There's a bigger judge than me. There's a bigger judge than all of us. That's God. At one point, we're all gonna die. And you're all gonna be sentenced. And during that sentencing, every sin you ever committed is gonna come forward. So at that point, yeah, the judges on earth, the sentencing on earth may be one thing, but eternity, that's a bigger thing that you're gonna have to deal with than just worrying about the causes on earth.
That's all I have.
We're good? Yes, sir.
Sir, how about contact info? Is if somebody out of state does recognize the subject, call their local police or?
Yeah, so if somebody locally, so if it's people in Colorado, which this individual lived in Colorado for a long time, notify Colorado law enforcement, but at the same time notify us, because we want to know, or we'll actually connect together. You can go on our Facebook page or Twitter account, we have our information up there. But yes, if somebody has any information, notify us or notify your local jurisdiction. And if they have any questions, that local jurisdiction isn't doing anything about it, notify us and we'll get engaged.
Thank you.
And lastly, you talked about the concerns about people hiring, people who maybe came here through improper ways.
Right.
Message to them. I mean, they're doing this. It's not first time, as you mentioned,
Right.
that this happened.
As I said, the problem we face is, I can imagine, he's probably cheap labor. He's probably extremely cheap labor. The thing is, he is going door to door to people's houses. He's in people's communities. If they never verified his status, they never did a background check. I mean, these people should absolutely have a background check. Now, he had criminal offenses. They may not have caught because there may not have been anything in his background, but at the same time nobody probably did anything. They just hired this individual, he handed him a Colorado license and just started working, doing deliveries. We have no proof yet. It's still an investigation, but I cannot believe that this person who committed this crime, who self-disclosed that the Venezuelan drug cartels are after him, that he's lived a very good life. He's probably done a lot of bad things. So that's why in our situation, when you're out there in the public and you're dealing with people, you absolutely need to do proper background checks. These companies need to be held accountable, and that's why we're gonna hand this over to Homeland Security so they can figure out what else this company's into. And I can tell you right now, hey company, you're probably looking, I bet you there's a lot of companies right now that are looking up their records saying, did we hire Eduardo? Tell you right now, if you did, you better turn yourselves in or do something, because HSI will be coming after you.